وشميالف قداش مارتث ملكوثة قديش قديش قديشا أول وشميال دملي.
I rise on this important historic day, recognizing the Assyrian people and their hope for the future. This day is important for all those in the East Orthodox or the Assyrian Church, as it is the commemoration of the Fast of Jonah. The connection between the people of Assyria and Jonah are forever remembered in the Old Testament. The parallels between the people of ancient Assyria, as well as those Quakers of William Penn's ancestry who settled in Pennsylvania, are likewise profound. The stark difference, however, is those Quakers affiliated with William Penn and thereafter found sanctuary here in Penn's Woods, right here in our state. Sadly, a place of refuge was not afforded to the people of Assyria, who are scattered around the globe and our nation, as well as in our Commonwealth. The United States is home to nearly 100,000 Assyrians, with many of these people calling Pennsylvania their home, and due to their rich heritage and embracing their natural right to worship their creator as they see fit in our great Commonwealth. According to many historians, Assyrians were the first true empire and civilization, and the fall of that empire left the Assyrian people without a home or land for thousands of years, up until this very day. The fall of their empire several thousand years ago, of course, resulted with terrible suffering and sorrow, which they've experienced even until recent times, sadly. After the fall of this empire, around 600 BC, the people were reduced to a small state that routinely was brutalized by neighboring nations and empires. The brutality of this epoch came to a head, of course, during the First World War in 1916 at the hands of the Ottoman Empire, where Assyrian, Christians, Chaldeans, and many other minority groups in the Ottoman Empire were mercifully persecuted and murdered in what's called the Greater Armenian Genocide. The Assyrian people, in the midst of this tragedy, joined with the Allies during the First World War to fight against their oppressors, and were referred to by British historians as Great Britain's smallest ally. At the end of the First World War, they found themselves abandoned once again with depleted supplies, forcing them to retreat from Urmia, Turkey, to Iraq. It is estimated that up to 1/3 of the Assyrian population died along the way in their exodus for peace and a home. In recognition of the Assyrian partnership during the First World War, the Allies had promised the Assyrian people their long-awaited haven, a nation of their own. But this never transpired, and rather tensions in Iraq led to another massacre by the Iraqi government of them in 1933. And that attack in 1933 was the catalyst for the Assyrian diaspora, causing them to seek refuge in many nations around the world, including the United States of America. During the aftermath of Operation Desert Storm 30 years ago, life for the Assyrian people in 1991 took a tragic turn for the worst. And although us veterans and those around back then remember largely the suffering of the Kurdish people, the Assyrian people suffered just as severe punishment by Saddam Hussein as the Kurds. 250,000 Assyrians were forced to flee Iraq during this time to surrounding countries, and sadly, many of them during their escape perished along the way. More recently, ISIS singled out the Assyrian people for brutalization in northern Iraq, around Mosul and other locations, with yet another modern-day genocide of murder, imprisoning, and enslaving of thousands of them. Today, the Assyrian people are scattered around the globe after thousands of years of religious and cultural persecution. The Assyrian spirit is ardent, independent, and filled with hope of a brighter future, much like that of the American spirit, or the spirit of William Penn right here in Pennsylvania. Many Assyrians have blessed our state and nation with their spirit and perseverance and their good heart. May we never forget the suffering of these great people as we enter this historically significant first day of the Fast of Jonah that they celebrate and commemorate. A portion of Jonah's prayer is read in many Assyrian churches on this very day. And they would say, as he did, "In trouble, deep trouble, I prayed to God, and he answered me. From the belly of the grave I cried, 'Help!' You heard my cry. You threw me into ocean's depths, into a watery grave, with ocean waves, ocean breakers crashing over me. I said, 'I have been thrown away, thrown out of your sight. I'll never again lay eyes on your holy temple.' The ocean gripped me by the throat. The ancient abyss grabbed me and held tight. My head was tangled in seaweed. At the bottom of the sea, where the mountains take root, I was as far down as a body can go, and the gates were slamming shut behind me forever. Yet, you pulled me up from that grave alive, O God, my God. When my life was slipping away, I remembered God, and my prayer got through to you. It is my hope on this commemoration anniversary of the Feast of Jonah that we'll never forget the suffering of all the peoples around the world, especially the Assyrian peoples on this day, and reminds us of a deeper commitment to freedom of worship and expression in our great Commonwealth and nation. Thank you, Mr. President.